You know that little voice in your head? The one that's always running, narrating everything? We all have it. But what if that private, internal world isn't actually so private? What if our thoughts have a real, tangible impact on the world around us in ways we almost never stop to consider? Right? It's a pretty wild question. We just assume that the space between our ears is the one place we have complete and total privacy. But today, we're going to dive into a fascinating idea that our thoughts aren't just silent whispers inside our skulls. What if they're actually radiating a kind of energy, creating a very real atmosphere around us, for better or for worse? And this quote from writer Brianna Wist really gets to the heart of it all. It's a timeless truth, isn't it? Every great change, every single success story, every personal breakthrough, it always begins with an internal shift. It all starts in the mind. Now, this is more than just a feel-good mantra you'd see on a poster. It's a fundamental principle of how we actually experience life. We're kind of taught to believe that our circumstances dictate our thoughts. But what if that's completely backward? This is such a powerful way to look at it. We think our reality, our job, our relationships, our bank account, creates our thoughts. But it's the other way around. Our mind is the active force, it's the projector, and our world is the screen. If you change your mind about something, your behavior changes. And it's only then that your circumstances start to shift. Our thoughts are the cause, not the effect. Okay, but that leads to a really obvious question. If we have this incredible power to shape our own lives just by using our minds, why do so many of us feel so stuck? Why is it such a struggle? Well, the short answer is that we're often fighting against our own programming. We have all these built-in mental shortcuts and subconscious patterns that are, designed to keep us safe and comfortable. But the irony is, they often end up holding us back from what we really want. Our brains are basically wired to keep things the same. Think of these biases as these little invisible tripwires in your head. Confirmation bias? That's your brain's personal echo chamber, only letting in opinions that you already agree with. Negativity bias? That's why one tiny criticism can totally overshadow 100 compliments. And extrapolation? That's a big one. It's when you have one bad day and your brain decides your entire life is ruined. And this brings us to a really fascinating concept called the upper limit problem. It's like we all have an internal thermostat for how much happiness we're comfortable with. And when things get too good, when we get that promotion or fall in love, it feels unfamiliar, maybe even scary. So we subconsciously do something to mess it up, just to get back to our familiar, comfortable level of okayness, even if that level is kind of miserable. And isn't this the core of so much human frustration? We know what we should do. We know we should eat healthier or save more money or leave that bad relationship. But that gap, that empty space between knowing what to do and actually doing it, that's where all our self-sabotage lives and thrives. Okay, so we've established the psychological power of thoughts. But some schools of thought take this idea way, way further. They see it not just as a powerful metaphor, but as a literal, tangible reality. And this is where things get really interesting. What if that phrase, thoughts create reality, isn't just about having a positive mindset? What if our thoughts literally have substance, their own energy, their own existence completely outside of our heads? This brings us to an incredible concept from esoteric traditions called the thought form. The idea is that our thoughts aren't just fleeting electrical signals in the brain. Nope. They actually create these tangible little entities out of our own energy. So positive thoughts might create light, helpful forms around us, while intense, repetitive, negative thoughts can build up into something heavy, something genuinely destructive that just hangs around us. Just let that sink in for a second. Our thoughts, when they're supercharged with strong emotions like love or hate or fear, they don't necessarily just stay with us. They can become these little independent things, influencing the space, and maybe even the people around us. It's like we're constantly broadcasting, either polluting or purifying the atmosphere with our minds. So, okay, if one person's thoughts can create these energetic forms, what happens when an entire group of people, a city, a nation, a whole global movement, all focus their mental and emotional energy on the very same idea? Well, that creates something called an egregore. You can think of it as a thought form on steroids. It's this massive, collective, psychic entity that's born from a group's shared consciousness, and it literally feeds on their beliefs and emotions. And over time, it can take on a life of its own, influencing people long after the original creators are even gone. This might sound really abstract and out there, but I promise you are already intimately familiar with these powerful forces. Let's look at a few examples. Take Santa Claus. He's not a real physical person, right? But the idea of Santa is an unbelievably powerful force, fed by the energy and belief of millions of people every single year. The same goes for a figure like Uncle Sam, which represents an entire national consciousness. According to this theory, these aren't just cute concepts. They are active, influential fields of energy that exist in the world. And here's why this matters to you and me. When you're born into a country, or you join a company, or even just walk into a room with a certain vibe, you don't just learn the rules. You absorb the mental atmosphere. That vibe isn't passive. It's an active egregore that is subtly shaping and coloring your own thoughts and perceptions, whether you realize it or not. So, we have this incredible power, both as individuals creating our own little thought forms, and as groups creating these massive egregores. This raises a pretty critical question. How do we consciously and, more importantly, responsibly use this power to create a better reality? In this kind of context, magic isn't about wands and spells and pulling rabbits out of hats. It's defined way more simply. It's the conscious, deliberate use of these psychic forces we've been talking about. And the single most important factor, the absolute key to the whole thing, is your motive. Why are you doing it? The distinction is actually beautifully simple. Using these forces just for a selfish or purely material goal, that's what some would call black magic. But using these same forces for the benefit of others or for a greater good, that's white magic. Your intent is everything. It literally determines the nature of the energy you're putting out into the world. So how do we actually put this into practice? Well, it boils down to 3 really practical steps. First, you have to consciously choose your focus. What energy, what kind of thought forms are you going to create today? Second, build your daily routine based on your conscious choices, not just your reactive fears. And third, if you really want to change your deepest beliefs, you have to go out and seek new experiences that make a different reality totally undeniable. Ultimately, all of these ideas point to a pretty profound responsibility. You're not just a passive observer in the universe. You're an active co-creator with every single thought you have. Every moment of every day, you are contributing to the mental atmosphere around you. So the final, and I think the most important question, is this: what world are you going to help create?